So as a kid growing up with my parents, we had a creek a few hundred yards behind our house. And we would go there and swim, and my cousins and buddies, we'd all gather there. And as I got older, we got four-wheelers. And we found these four-wheeler trails in the wooded areas by the creek. And so we began exploring those. And one day we got tired of those, and we got a little courageous and chose to venture off from the path. And we ended up finding this 15 to 20 foot bluff on down the creek from where we were accustomed to swimming, with the most beautiful deep blue water. And so we challenged each other, and we finally got enough courage to get up to the bluff and look over, and we were kind of pushing each other to jump off. You jump, no, you go, you're not man enough to do it. And finally one of us jumped, and that led to the other jump and the next jump. And we continued to jump off this bluff into this deep, beautiful water. And that became our spot. That became my spot of my childhood. And it took us getting a little bored with what we were used to. It took a little courage to venture off. It took a little risk, but the reward was worth it. In all my years of going there, I never seen anyone else outside of my buddies or family that I had brought there. That was our spot. In life, it's time that we take great risk. We have to realize that without risk, there is no reward. And the greater the risk, the greater the reward. It's time to dive in head first. And that can be scary because we're used to being on the sidelines. We're used to that comfortable lifestyle that we've grown accustomed to. Why should I dive in head first? It's scary. What if I fail? What if I fall? What if the water's not deep enough? What if the bluff's too high? What if I never find the bluff? What if I never find that deep blue water? Life's full of the what ifs, but the what ifs keep the people on the sidelines. And we're tired of that atmosphere. We're tired of the ho-hum existence that drags along, the monotony of life, the mundane actions, the routine and habits that we sloth through. There's always an adventure waiting. And yes, it takes risk, and yes, it can be fearful, and yes, it can even be dangerous at times. We're going into the unknown, but the unknown what separate you from the average. The unknown is where greatness is created. The unknown is where something new can be defined and lived and brought into existence. Had we never had the courage to venture from the path, if we never got bored, if we had just grown accustomed to that and said, yes, this is life, this is all there is to it, a little trail to the creek and a little swimming spot, then we would have never found the reward. But we got risky. We got a little dangerous. We had that youthful ambition inside of us, that childlike faith that says there's more, let's go explore. And as we grow older, we tend to lose that. We have these responsibilities. I have to do this. I have to be this mild-mannered, mature adult. And yes, let's take care of our responsibilities. Let's be mature. But let's have that wisdom that says, I know there's always something more, and if I could just explore in a mature and responsible way, then how big can the reward be? And in every book I've read, every autobiography, every great successful person that I've studied, they all have that in common. They take a risk that nobody else is willing to take so that they can achieve what everyone else wants. We want greatness. We want that adventure. We want to be at the top of our life. But are we willing to take the risk? And once we take the risk, are we willing to trudge along that path? Are we willing to go off course a little bit, where there is a little unknown, where there is a little fear of, oh my gosh, what will happen? But it's in that what will happen where we find what can happen. We get bored, we get tired of our existence as it is. We've got to begin to ask ourselves. And that's what it starts with, that first question of, is there more? How can I achieve it? What can I do to get there? But instead, we're on the sidelines asking, why hasn't my time come? Why me? Why am I not the one successful? Why is my life not like that? Why? The better question is, what can I do to get there? How can I achieve it? Is there more out there? Is there something to explore? Can I go off path for a minute so that I can actually have a chance at achieving something greater than this mere monotonous existence that I'm living in? This boring life, if you will. And that's what it comes down to. You're bored. I'm bored. Then we've got to push ourselves past this boring limitation. It's time to dive in head first, to find that initiative act that brings out the best in us. Jump off the bluff, jump into the water, veer off the path so that you can find something more. Routine, average, monotony, that's not existence, man. And before we know it, this life comes to an end, and I'd much rather have veered off the path and found nothing than stayed on the path and lived in nothing. I promise you, when you seek exploration and you seek out more and you seek out a better life, the reward is excitingly waiting for you to come. The bluff is waiting for you to jump in that cool, refreshing water where it becomes your spot and nobody else's. It's time that we take a little risk, that we dive head first. There's going to be some rewards. There's going to be some pains. There's going to be some failures. There's going to be some trials. There's going to be some unknown. But in that great risk, there is a great reward. And it may not always be what you picture it is. We didn't picture finding a bluff. We just pictured an adventure, a new trail. But it led us to a greater swimming hole, a greater bluff, a greater advantage over the current swimming hole we had. Get out there, veer off the path, take risk, dive head first, find your bluff, find your water.